All right. Everything I've heard about this show so far has been kind of been like, yeah, it looks like a lazy attempt to add another Star Wars show. And Obi-Wan and Mandalorian season 3, like, I had no interest in season 3 because of what happened with all the casting and all that other issues, and I never ended up watching it. The first two seasons, though, were like chef's kiss, and then I've heard many bad things about the third one. And Obi-Wan Kenobi kind of like just took me out of it. That was like I was really excited for it. I was like, oh, it looks good. Let's see. And then it just ended up being like extremely like mediocre in a lot of ways. So uh, this is my first time checking the Acolyte trailer out. So let's get right into it.
Last night, a Jedi was murdered.
Okay. Now Andor
Jedi
is a good shot. Ashoka. Oh yeah, I forgot about
their
Ashoka.
galactic dominance in the name of peace. But that peace is a lie.
Jedi are being hunted.
Okay.
She was my student. I trained her. Let me be the one to bring her in.
I sense
visually
this is only
looks
a small
cool.
part of a larger plan. Some sort of shift to tip the scales. It's time to face the past. Destiny is not decided for you by an anonymous
Star Wars
force.
Woke Edition.
If you want to pull the thread and change everything, then pull it.
What do you think? What are you? Damn Sith? All right. That was a trailer. Okay, cool visuals. Some actually really cool visuals. It definitely looks good. Definitely has the look of like the sequel trilogy that they did, which I like those, that kind of color grading, like the dark and all that. I like that kind of stuff. You know, they did that kind of style with like the later Harry Potter movies, if you remember that, Deathly Hallows or the Phoenix. You know, that kind of look. I love those kind of things. So on that part and visually and the lightsaber stuff, they're like, oh, lightsabers, you know, they're faster than the sequel stuff they did, but like the slower movement. So we're like, all right, there's some good stuff. But other than that, it's like, what is this going to be, right? It kind of thing. It's like, do you really need this? It's like, you know, it's too much Star Wars. I personally think something like Mandalorian and stuff like that kind of worked, just because it was like, you know, not the usual stuff we see, and it was stuff that was different. And that was like so attractive. Yeah, third season they went off the rails there, but like even then it was like, okay, it's still within that universe, but it still is like, you know, this like Western kind of a take on it. So it's different than all the Jedi and all that stuff. So that's why it was like so attractive. I think this kind of stuff works more when it's part of the movies and all, you know, seeing on the big screen. That's just kind of my take. But other than that, this trailer, like, yeah, it's good, but then, you know, the stuff like the end there always tickles me. What are you? It's like, what? Like, you know, as much as you want to make fun of like George Lucas definitely had a vision. Like with his movies, the prequels, or, you know, like the original trilogy, it was not like a Sith standing in front of you like, what are you? You're not gonna have stuff like that. Even in the sequels, you didn't have stuff like that. Like, come on. Like, what are you? What do you think? It's like damn good Sith in front of you. Don't ask him that. But it's like, they try to make it like cool and all. And it's like, oh, he's gonna ask this dialogue, and it's like, very evil person. But in Star Wars kind of a thing, when a Jedi is fighting a Sith, it doesn't fit well. It just tickled me the wrong way. But I think it's just, I'm tickled out of Star Wars, I'd rather go back and watch like the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian. Go watch maybe, Andor. Or go watch the prequels and all. The original trilogy and stuff like that. It's like, now it's just like they're adding more and more stuff. Whereas like the stuff they really should be doing is like, the Sith days when the Sith were in power and the whole thing, the old Republic and stuff like that in a movie would be interesting, and less Star Wars. Wait for the movies. I don't know. I went rambled on, but just because at this point it's like, oh, it's another Star Wars thing kind of thing. It's like, okay, let's see how this one goes. Maybe it will be good. That's all I can say. Other than that, nothing in there was like, oh my God, you gotta see this, What is your take on this one? Leave a comment below. Let me know. And on that, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you all soon. Until then, ta-da, a cap.